Kalahari, a land without respite. A vast ecosystem in southern Africa where the horizon dissolves beneath an immense sky. And the hot air distorts the shapes of distant trees. Every creature that inhabits these sands is the result of millions of years of evolution, forced to adapt or disappear. This sprawling desert grants no second chances. Survival here does not depend on luck, but on pure technique and strategy. Only the toughest, the best adapted, and those who have honed their instincts manage to navigate the daily dangers. Antelope and gazelles rely on powerful hind legs, long sharp horns, and precise maneuvers to exhaust the hunters that stalk them relentlessly. It is a contest of endurance, where failure means death. In these lands, threats do not always take the form of a lion or a cheetah. Sometimes a single misstep on loose sand can betray a position. A thorny bush can snag the legs of a fleeing prey, and a careless stumble near a burrow can turn into a lethal ambush. Welcome to the Kalahari Desert. Life in this desert is a constant danger. Zebras move out in herds to forage on the plains. They are not alone. A group of lions silently stalks its prey. This particular zebra is large and difficult to handle, so the lions craft a strategy. Suddenly, the silence shatters. The lions burst through the dry grass, and the zebras explode into a stampede, overwhelmed by fear, running aimlessly in a frantic attempt to escape. One of the lions reaches a zebra, and the others pounce on the victim to weaken it and end its struggle. The lions succeed, and now on the ground, they all push in to claim a share of the prey that continues to writhe in pain. The lions, unconcerned with their captive's suffering, snarl at one another to secure the best portion of the feast. Even the smallest are targets of growls, but they always eat last after a hunt. This is one of the most common scenes in the Kalahari Desert, where the rules of the hunt are cruel and direct, and the struggle for survival is as ruthless as the climate. The lions of the Kalahari Desert are perfectly adapted to the extreme conditions of their environment. Their coats, far from being thick and dense, are lighter than those of lions in cooler regions. This allows them to withstand the scorching daytime heat, but it also exposes their skin to constant scrapes and scars during territorial fights. These physical traits not only define their appearance, but also shape how they hunt and survive. Despite their agility, their muscular bodies are built for ambushes, not long chases, making them more strategic hunters than sprinters. Yet not everything depends on the hunt. Within the pride, tension is a daily part of their social life. The hierarchy is clear and often contentious. Older lions, the dominant males, impose their will not only during hunts, but in the defense of territory. The younger ones, despite their strength, must earn their place, facing the experienced lions for the right to hunt, to intimacy within the pride, and to the group's security. These clashes are constant but necessary, as they ensure experience is passed to the next generation, thus strengthening the pride against hardship. Competition arises not only within the pride, but also from rival predators lurking nearby. Lions, though feared by many, must share the territory with other felines such as leopards and occasionally confront hyenas that do not hesitate to steal what they cannot kill. This constant play of power and survival requires unceasing vigilance, where internal hierarchy can shift in an instant. Night hunting is among their most important strategies. Cooler temperatures allow their bodies to operate more efficiently, and their keen night vision lets them track prey more easily in the dark. This nocturnal behavior is not only an adaptation to Kalahari conditions, but also a strategy to avoid other predators and competitors that tend to hunt during the hotter hours of the day. Being great cooperative hunters, lions can better organize at night to carry out a successful collective hunt, where darkness becomes their ally. Their ability to adapt to the desert's thermal cycle and preference for night hunting make Kalahari lions better equipped than many other lion populations that must cope with milder or less extreme environments. In the Kalahari Desert, water is a scarce commodity, more a luxury than a certainty. rains fall erratically, and lions must adapt to the constant lack of natural sources. This struggle to stay hydrated is part of the survival strategy of these predators who have learned to live with thirst as a constant companion. In a place where water is hard to find, lions must rely not only on great endurance, but also on clever behavior. The scarcity of water forces Kalahari lions to develop a survival mode beyond ordinary hunting. Although their main goal remains feeding on their prey's flesh, the need to hydrate becomes equally vital. Blood, an inevitable byproduct of every hunt, offers a small source of water. Though it is insufficient to meet daily needs, blood provides a momentary hydration that can mark the difference between life and death in the blistering desert. The life of a Kalahari lion is a relentless struggle, not only against the elements but also against threats lurking in every corner of the desert. Unlike their counterparts elsewhere in Africa, who enjoy more favorable environments, Kalahari lions face shorter lives, marked by scarce resources and the constant stress that survival entails. High temperatures, continual hunting and territorial battles leave little room for recovery, and the lions here must not only be strong but also remain ever alert. Across the vast savannas, where the wind caresses the grasses and the sun dominates the sky, cheetahs, unlike other creatures of brute force, display a subtler art, that of speed and cunning. Within their small tribes, formed by mothers and their cubs, the young cheetahs find themselves in a stage of transition, halfway between relying on maternal protection and the independence that life demands. When they are not hunting, and they do not always succeed, the youngsters devote themselves to observation and learning, a meticulous preparation of sorts. They stay close to their mother, not only out of need, but also to study her movements. It is in those moments of apparent calm that they develop a crucial skill, the instinct for ambush. In their free time, there is no room for carelessness. They practice their sprints, tense their muscles, test their body's endurance, and most importantly, exercise the art of patience. The inherited instincts of cheetahs are passed down through generations, a legacy of hunting and strategy that becomes internalized over time. Cheetahs watch, imitate, and wait. They learn to recognize weaker prey, to understand when and how speed can be a lethal weapon. Often, the shrewdest position themselves strategically, observing the adults' interactions, hunting dynamics, and how the mothers choose the right moments to attack. As the youngsters train, their brains begin to integrate signals from their surroundings, shifts in the wind, the postures of prey, and the distance they can cover undetected. These inherited behaviors, though not always conscious, are essential to their development and eventually to their ability to hunt independently. The time they spend playing, chasing their companions, or staging mock pursuits is nothing more than training disguised as leisure. Because, as on any aspirant's path, true power is not shown in the act itself, but in the ability to wait, observe, and seize the precise moment when opportunity arises. Thus, these young cheetahs, though they lack the agility and prowess of adults, are aware that their future will depend on how they manage their time and skills. The territory is not reserved solely for the great felines of the Kalahari Desert. In this environment, surprisingly, there is a competitor that, despite its modest size, can challenge large predators on equal terms. This small carnivore is none other than the honey badger, an animal whose audacious actions and bravery make it an unexpected rival for the giants of the Kalahari. Despite its size, the honey badger shows no fear in the face of the great felines. On several occasions, when these imposing cats patrol the territory, the badger dares to challenge their presence. Even lions, usually the most feared predators, have been forced to back off before this tiny rival's boldness. With its fierce defensive instinct and almost inhuman tenacity, the badger confronts lions with the same resolve that allows it to survive in such a hostile environment. Its aggressiveness and bravery, keys to its survival, are forged in an environment where danger is constant. The Kalahari is a merciless place where each day can be the last, which has driven the badger to develop ferocious defensive behavior and incredible resilience to threats. Yet beyond these clashes, the honey badger's life unfolds far from the lion's constant menace, for its daily struggle is much more complex than a single confrontation. Its routine is marked by an untiring search for food, always alert to any threat, but without letting the presence of the big cats control its movements. Though it does not confine itself to a single type of food, honey is one of its most sought-after targets. Guided by its keen sense of smell, it approaches beehives, where it faces a new battle. The rising buzz signals resistance. Dozens of bees defend their territory fiercely, but the badger does not stop there. With swift movements, it manages to tear down part of the hive, enduring the stings that accumulate on its thick skin. This is the skill the honey badger has developed to cope with predators. Its pelt forms a sort of armor against the bees' painful stingers. As the day advances, the badger traverses the arid landscape, moving quickly from place to place. Hunting is its primary concern, and its sharp ability to detect scents allows it to locate prey with remarkable precision. Its evolution, shaped by the need to shield itself from larger predators and find food in an arid, competitive terrain, has made it an audacious animal capable of defending its territory with the strength of a superior predator. The honey badger not only confronts environmental challenges, but also maintains constant vigilance over its territory. It refuses to be intimidated by larger animals, and its defiant attitude extends to any creature that tries to invade its domain. Its stamina and endurance make it stand out in an environment full of threats and competition. When night falls and the Kalahari grows even more relentless, the badger returns to its burrow, an underground refuge it has dug itself. In this safe place, far from external threats, it can rest and recover for another day of tireless struggle for survival. During the brief periods when the river swells and rains break the landscape's dryness, life transforms with almost violent speed. The air fills with new scents, the grasslands turn green, and footprints multiply in the damp earth. Herds of herbivores flock to the water seeking relief, followed closely by large carnivores that know a feast is within reach at these moments. Even leopards, which prefer to hunt discreetly within the thickets, descend to the riverbanks, where fish trapped in backwaters become easy prey. In the Kalahari, any change, no matter how slight, is enough to disrupt the natural order and redefine the rules of survival. Although Kalahari leopards usually avoid contact with other predator species, during these days of abundance, they venture beyond their usual routes. The high density of prey forces them to share territories, to cross paths with lions, hyenas, and jackals in tense coexistence where every move is measured. These solitary felines exploit dusk to stalk, when shadows lengthen and the heat begins to subside. The climate in the Kalahari is torment for most species that inhabit it. In a moment, the brief rainy days end, and the desert ecosystem reverts to its customary harshness. One leopard, wandering in search of food, strays too far from its territory, a bad time to cross the savanna without the cover of the thicket, because it encounters a group of hyenas. These opportunists, always alert to any advantage, do not plan to let the chance slip by, and the leopard must brace to face them alone. Fortunately, reinforcement arrives in time. Another leopard, drawn by the commotion, emerges from the undergrowth with silent determination. There are no firm alliances among these solitary cats, but instinct dictates when it is necessary to balance the odds. The hyenas, realizing their numerical advantage is no longer so clear, hesitate for an instant. That moment is enough for both leopards to retreat cleverly toward denser vegetation where uneven ground and darkness play in their favor. In the Kalahari, confrontations are rarely settled by bravery. They are decided by opportunity, calculation, and knowledge of the terrain. The Kalahari Desert makes no exceptions. For one animal to live, another must die. Only those who sacrifice prosper. That is the sole law of nature. Only the strong will survive. And those born into weakness must endure a living hell to reach adulthood. Antelope spend their entire adult lives under the herd's protection. A single individual may witness the death of all its companions, yet it is through hardship and adaptation that two large, perfectly symmetrical horns grow from its head. It lacks the strength, speed, and great teeth of its predators, but that does not prevent it from fighting. The routine of these antelope begins at dawn, when the heat still allows them to seek the tender grasses that have retained some moisture overnight. They move in large but spread out groups to avoid attracting too much attention from predators. As the sun rises, the herd keeps in constant motion, alternating between patches of shade and small clearings where resilient grasses sprout. During mating season, the strongest males claim small portions of the common territory. Gathering between 3 and 5 females, they will try to impregnate during that period. These confrontations, though seldom lethal, leave marks and wear down the loser, who must resign himself to wandering alone until the next opportunity. But in an environment where each encounter can be decisive, not everything depends on strength or territorial cunning. Survival often hinges on the natural weapons each species has developed. Thus, armed with ornamental horns, the antelope often manages to get away during every stalk. If a predator comes close enough, if it takes a wrong step, those horns can pierce it with relative ease. Moreover, its coat, adorned with stripes and irregular patterns, serves an essential function during stampedes. When dozens of bodies run together, the contrasts and shapes mingle, creating an optical illusion that makes it hard for predators to identify a single target. It is a visual trick that, amid chaos, increases their chances of escape. So, in the Kalahari, not all herbivores are easy prey. Behind every light body and every alert gaze lies a defense forged by centuries of persecution. Predators know this. Hence, before launching an attack, they must read the terrain, calculate the wind's direction, and precisely choose the most vulnerable victim. Here, hunting is not merely an act of hunger, but a demanding science, perfected with every attempt. And as with any art, its stage also varies, transforming rules and opportunities with each stretch of terrain. In Kalahari territory, not everything is plains and arid expanses of dry grassland. There are salt pans, shifting dunes, and the margins of seasonal lagoons that for brief periods concentrate life as abundant as it is ephemeral. Where the water lingers a bit longer, even seals find fleeting refuge before the desert reasserts itself. They are creatures that try to steer clear of the desert's heart and its severe scarcity of resources. Their bodies are perfectly adapted to the sea, yet they face a significant difficulty. Being on land does them no good at all. Their movements are clumsy, their bodies heavy and exposed, and every shift across the sand demands disproportionate effort. During the breeding season, which takes place between November and December, colonies gather on rocky and sandy beaches to give birth and nurse their young, leaving them especially vulnerable. Seal pups, only a few months old, are frequently harassed by predators that know a youngster is always liable to be left unattended. Amid that chaos, a single instant of distraction is enough. The mother, forced to dive into the sea in search of food, leaves behind a pup, barely protected by the confusion of bodies writhing and sliding across the sand. A predator, patient and accustomed to reading the gaps in the colony's collective movement, waits for its chance. When it comes, it slips through the shadows and drags the tiny prey away from the tumult. There is no resistance, no possibility of rescue. That is how this corner of the world works, where every lapse has its price. In the same hostile, competitive environment, other desert dwellers must hone different tactics to survive. Kalahari foxes choose discretion and strategy. They depend on a razor-sharp sense of hearing and an ability to detect the faintest movement beneath the sand. They hunt at night when darkness covers the desert and temperatures fall, using the gloom as an ally. They feed on insects, small reptiles, and unwary birds, all while dodging the patrols of jackals and big cats. Their success lies not in combat, but in the precise choice of moment and place, moving swiftly and leaving no trace to betray their passage. That knack for thriving on the margins and finding resources where others see none is what lets them survive. Although desert foxes may form small groups for tasks such as fending off other predators or rearing pups, most of the time they act alone. They do not depend on a pack structure. They rely on their intelligence and skills to operate individually. This allows them to be more effective hunters, able to move with greater stealth and speed without the need to coordinate with others. Their diet, though varied, consists mainly of rodents and occasional birds that abound during the night. For the hunt, foxes employ a stalking strategy, using their keen hearing to detect prey even beneath the sand's surface. Sometimes the fox digs with its paws, putting its dexterity to use to surprise animals hiding underground. This technique, though not always successful, gives them a significant edge over their prey. These small carnivores also manage to come out on top in difficult situations thanks to their cunning. They know when to withdraw and avoid danger, fully aware of their limitations against larger, more powerful predators. If surrounded, their speed and stealth allow them to escape along routes other animals cannot follow. Even so, their ability to blend into the surroundings and remain unnoticed grants them the means to evade attacks until the very last moment, ensuring survival in an environment where every decision can mean the difference between life and death. In a territory where even foxes must move with caution, hunters still more discreet and patient lie in wait. Kalahari's invisible predators that need not run to catch their victims. They wait from the ground, in silence, biding their time until someone walks by without watching their step. The Kalahari snake possesses one of the most potent venoms on the planet. A single dose could easily kill an adult tiger, and in this desert, a brief moment of negligence is enough for a body to be left motionless in the sand, unclaimed by anyone. Just like the fox, this reptile is cunning enough to devise a hunting strategy. It recognizes its prey's location by following the tracks left behind. Thanks to its acute sense of smell and its bifid tongue, the snake catches scent particles in the air and on the sand, processing them precisely with a specialized organ, which allows it to locate prey exactly even when it stays hidden. Once it has found the trail, the snake glides forward slowly. It need not hurry. It can remain motionless for hours until the moment to act arrives. It halts mere centimeters from the entrance of a burrow regularly used by a rodent. There, amid the hot sand and dry roots, it stays still, body blending with the surroundings, only its fixed eyes and intermittently flicking tongue betraying its presence. When the rodent appears, confident in the landscape's stillness, the ambush is triggered in the blink of an eye. The snake shoots forward at astonishing speed, injecting its venom before the prey can even grasp the danger. The bite is precise and lethal. The small animal succumbs to the neurotoxin that rapidly shuts down its nervous system. No chase, no struggle, only a miscalculation on the prey's part. The Kalahari snake's appetite is voracious, and it must be sated often. A group of meerkats scans the horizon warily, as if sensing something amiss. These ever-vigilant creatures know threats lurk in every corner of the desert. They live in bands that can range from 3 to 30 individuals, depending on resource availability and territory size. In the band, each member's role is clearly defined. One sentinel, always keeping its gaze fixed on the horizon, is tasked with warning of predators' presence while the rest forage or tend the young. Communication among them is swift and effective. They use a variety of sounds, shrill whistles to soft growls, and body postures to alert the group. The alarm system is surprisingly efficient. Upon detecting danger, the sentinel emits a loud whistle that prompts all other members to bolt swiftly into their burrows. Communication does not stop there. The meerkats also have a set of more complex vocalizations, used to coordinate while hunting or to maintain social cohesion within the group. Their hunting strategy is collaborative. They gather in small teams to encircle an area in search of insects and small reptiles. Sometimes they employ teamwork to flush prey from hiding, acting so that surprise and speed become their best allies. Every member of the band knows exactly its role in this dance of survival. Now, while the meerkats carry on with their usual routine, the snake watches them from a distance. Hungry, the snake seeks food. A crucial energy source, given that, as cold-blooded reptiles, Their metabolism depends greatly on ambient temperature. This means their activity level, and therefore their need to feed, varies with the weather. On colder days, their activity drops sharply, and thus their hunting becomes less frequent. However, when the desert's heat rouses it, the snake turns into an insatiable hunter, looking to exploit any opportunity that arises. The many tracks left by dozens of meerkats on the ground point clearly to the route the snake must follow to reach its victim's burrow, but its presence is quickly announced by one of the rodents. It gives the precise signal to its companions, who act instantly, forming an alert structure. Each member of the band has a specific function in such situations. Some remain at their post, scanning the horizon, while others scatter swiftly to find an escape route. Those that stay behind emit sharp alarm calls, warning everyone of danger, while the fastest dive for cover beneath roots or into cracks in the sand. Faced with this scene, the snake sees no option but to surrender this hunt, over before it began. The snake has no time to waste and tries to make up for the failed attempt by stalking other prey. The meerkats no longer sense any threat, and life within the group returns to normal. The meerkat band resumes its daily routine, that meticulous sequence of vigilance, foraging and play that defines their desert days. The burrows are reoccupied, and pups poke their snouts out, confident the danger has passed. That is how life works here. Danger is constant, but calm is not postponed. Each day, meerkats devote much of their time to searching for small invertebrates, larvae, scorpions, and roots for food, while at least one adult stands upright, watching every corner of the horizon. The social organization of these groups allows the colony to thrive in one of Africa's most hostile environments. Yet despite the efficiency of their surveillance system, there are enemies against whom defense is nearly impossible. Aerial predators have learned to recognize these small mammals' habits and exploit moments when the group disperses for food or wanders far from burrows. Meerkats possess one of the broadest vocal repertoires among small mammals, capable of emitting distinct sounds depending on the threat's nature: a terrestrial predator, a snake, or a bird of prey. A sharp, repetitive squeal is enough to make the entire colony vanish underground in mere seconds. But even that system has limits. In the Kalahari sky, a dark silhouette cuts across the clean midday blue. It is the realm of eagles, solitary hunters who circle the plains in search of the faintest movement. Their eyes, 8 times sharper than human eyes, can spot a meerkat from over a kilometer high. Their hunting plan repeats time and again, unchanged for millennia. The raptor stays aloft, riding thermal currents while scanning each sector of land. Once it detects a potential victim, it folds its wings, stops flapping, and lets gravity do the work. The strike happens in the blink of an eye. A young meerkat, lagging behind the group, becomes an easy target. There is no time for warnings, no margin for alarm calls. The raptor dives, and before any colony member can grasp what is happening, the predator has seized its prey. The blow is sharp and sure. Talons pierce the small body and lift it effortlessly. The rest of the group, witness to a scene that belongs to the savanna's daily routine, retreats. Meerkats do not try to rescue their companions or chase their attackers. They simply vanish underground, waiting for the danger to pass. Eagles will keep stalking from above. Snakes will patrol the sand, and meerkats will repeat their daily sequence, knowing each movement could be the last. The sun begins to dip below the horizon, bathing the Kalahari savanna in a reddish light that paints the cracked earth with fire. On rocky slopes, a warthog mother walks cautiously with her piglet at her side. The sow advances slowly, nose close to the ground, sniffing the air for any sign of danger. She knows that in this place, safety is not guaranteed even during the calmest hours of the day. A few meters away, the silence is broken by a dull crack. In the shadows, a hyena moves silently, its yellow eyes fixed on the mother and her young. The hyena has no intention of attacking head-on, but its hunger is constant and its patience legendary. It draws close enough, using every patch of vegetation for cover. Its plan is simple. Wait for the mother to separate from her piglet, then strike. The warthog mother senses the hyena's presence, and her alertness rises. In a quick move, she turns and directs her piglet towards safer ground where defense is easier. The rocky terrain prevents the hyena from advancing swiftly. The hyena steps back, crouches, and frustration flashes in its gaze. For now, the hunt is abandoned. The hyena waits in the dark. Its strategy has failed today, but it will not forget the lesson. In the Kalahari, every move, every attempt is a lesson in how to survive. Thus, the day ends for some species. The desert offers neither mercy nor rewards. In this landscape of heat, wind, and sand, the ground burns beneath an unforgiving sun, its extreme temperatures easily surpassing 40 degrees Celsius. These extremes turn the region into a vast furnace where hot air distorts the horizon's lines and everything seems to melt into a sea of desolation. Yet beyond the desert facade, the Kalahari holds another face, a land that alternates between brief abundance and endless privation. Droughts are not the exception but the rule. For weeks on end, wind blows fine sand that slips into every crack, blinding animals and covering the tracks of those struggling to survive. Plants, hardened by centuries of adaptation, fold inward or store the barest moisture possible. In this setting, some inhabitants have devised ingenious strategies to endure. The Kalahari skink, a small lizard with a sleek body and tiny legs, burrows beneath the loose sand to avoid both predators and the surface's blistering heat. In that subterranean refuge, the temperature drops several degrees and humidity is preserved, letting it lower its metabolic activity and wait for better conditions. Similarly, the ratel, famed for its ferocity, turns opportunist in times of drought, trailing larger predators to scavenge their leftovers and even digging up small rodents and reptiles hiding underground where life still clings on. The ground cracks, and in that fractured earth appear the marks of an ancient struggle where resilience is law. When water disappears, the savanna becomes a battlefield. As drought deepens, there is no respite. Elephants, once dominant by sheer presence, are now forced to dig desperately in dry riverbeds. Buffaloes, weakened and thirsty, form defensive circles, but disarray and hunger push the weakest out of protection. Antelope live in a constant state of terror. They approach watering holes not knowing whether they will be ambushed by a crocodile or trampled by a frenzied herd. Here, thirst becomes a sentence. Scavengers, knowing the frail fall first, lurk at a distance, keenly watching for bodies left behind. The struggle for water never ceases, and as drought advances, the tension in the air grows unbearable. The sounds of clashes, the thunder of buffalo horns, the elephant's bellows, the stealthy whispers of predators, intertwine in a landscape where survival is measured by moments. Every drop of water wrested from the earth is a fleeting victory, but the animals know that in this relentless land the true enemy is scarcity, exhaustion, and the desperation that drives some to attack and others to give way. It is an endless cycle. Life, struggle, and death are inseparable here, and those who outlast the drought must continue facing new challenges. The Kalahari Desert, which seemed nothing more than an unrelenting void of heat and dust, reveals fierce resilience in every corner. Here, in this extreme place where the sun becomes the most ferocious enemy and water is as rare as it is precious, survival is a perpetual battle. The fight never ends, yet life, against all odds, persists.